Welcome to episode number 92 of Living the Shredder Life. I'm your host, Jesse James Jamnik, and tonight I am joined by the one, the only, the Sunshine of ERShred, Ms. Kathy Martinez. Kathy, welcome back to Living the Shredder Life. I'm super excited to have you back here.
I'm super excited to be here.
Yes. So for those of you just joining us, do me a favor, drop into the comments, say hello, let us know where it is you're calling in from. Are you catching this live? Are you catching us on the replay? Say hi to Kathy. We're excited. We're super excited to do this call. Every single week, my mission is to bring you another amazing story, tips, tricks, science, something that's going to help move the needle in your life that can help you move forward. And right now, my main focus is really getting back with our veteran shredders, people that have been with us for well over a year, people that have done some extensive amount of work. Kathy is one of those people. And Kathy is a special friend of mine. I met Kathy on day one when she came into the ERShred, and man, have I watched one of the most epic transformations that I have ever been a part of. And I know I've shared that with you, Kathy, and I'm so excited for you because where you are now from where you were then is just cuckoo crazy, right? But let's do this. Let's start off, with some basic things. Let people know where it is you're calling in from, and then let's start off with just some high level cool stuff. Like, let us know where you began shredding, if you know those. I know you know those numbers. You take notes of everything. Like where you were at and kind of where you're at now, just to kind of give people that full spectrum, and then we'll kind of dive in and dissect it apart, and then hopefully be able to leave people with some good tips and tricks and mindset hacks that you've learned for yourself over time. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So I am Kathy Martinez, and I am from Pueblo, Colorado. I did my first ERShred back in July of 2021. I had to say, when the protocol got a little bit changed up this recent time, I thought, how interesting, because that kind of was my journey. I came in with a whole slew of health issues. I had been inactive for a long time. I was in a serious health crisis, and it wasn't just a physical health crisis. It was a deterioration in my physical health that affected my mental health as well. I hadn't been able to do any exercise physically. And before it became physical, it was I didn't want to mentally exercise. I just couldn't. And then when I came in, I had to start my journey in a modified way. I did the steak and shake. I mean, that was my thing. But at the end of that 11 days, well, before I even started, I knew I was going to feel better just because I believed it. I mean, I spent time in the guides in the community when I made the decision.
Yep.
And I believed before I even saw the results. And
Yeah.
so that was big for me. The other thing that was big for me when I came in to start was that it wasn't about weight loss for me. And that was something that was very different. Everything that I had tried before was always in an attempt to lose weight, to move the number on the scale to a smaller number. It had nothing to do with being healthier for me previously. It was all about the number.
Yeah.
And so with ERShred, it was not. So at the end of that first 11 days with no cleanse days, I felt so much better that I was like, I'm going to keep going. And it wasn't until the second 11 days that I even decided I was going to try to incorporate any type of exercise.
Okay.
So I started out literally with a goal of 15 minutes of walking 5 days a week. That was it. I didn't tell myself you're going to go out and walk miles 7 days a week, because I wasn't there. But I knew if I made a promise to myself that I would do 15 minutes 5 days a week, I could do that. And I did. And then I said, okay, if I could do this for 1 week, then I could do this for 4 weeks. And I went 4 weeks. And as I continued, it just made me feel better. So now I'm 14 months in. I have done all the things that I wanted to do and more. I got my walk on. I walked my first, 5K walking distance. I decided I was going to run again.
Yeah.
I ran 5K. I ran 10K. I climbed the incline. I'm going to climb the incline again this Saturday. Is my second trip up. And honestly, the first time I went, I thought to myself, I'm going to keep this promise I made to myself almost 8 years ago, and then I'm going to be done. And it was terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
it was terrifying, but I made it to the top. And
So
I proved to myself that day that I can do things even if it scares me to death. And so I decided that day, like, there's something special about the feat of going up these stairs and getting back down that trail,
yeah.
that I have to do this again this year and be stronger and less terrified and be able to enjoy it. So that's what
Mm,
I'm going to do on Saturday.
that's so awesome. And now
Yeah.
you forgot that you are now also strength training,
Yes, I am. Yes,
which
I am.
was like that was not a big piece. So
No, it
I
was
mean,
not.
wow. So 14 months in so far.
Yeah.
I love the fact, we obviously introduced a new way for people that kind of freaks some people out. I think it's one of the most amazing things that we've done because it really allows somebody to come in and do this on their terms, on their speed. And you are such a prime example that, where cleansing does have amazing health benefits, and we highly recommend using it as a strategic tool. It's not like an end all be all. Like, it's not a make or break, right? Because you spent 3 weeks, right? Not even thinking about doing that. You were
Oh
just
yeah.
like shake and steak, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I didn't actually
shake and
do
steak.
a full cleanse day until I was into my third ER shred.
Okay. So we're
Because
talking
I
like
was not there.
a good month then.
Oh yeah. I was probably actually, I started in July. I don't think I cleansed until September,
Okay.
actually. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, good. So I know there's a lot of people out there. I mean, gosh, that's like that tip right there is like so freeing, I hope, to so many people, because I
Yeah.
know that there's so many people that think like, oh my gosh, like if I don't cleanse, I'm not going to get the results. Oh my gosh, like if I don't do this, like I'm not going to get the results. And I know you spent a lot of time there as well. Like, you were one to really kind of play with emotions. And I want to dive into that and peel into that a little bit for people too in a second. But I mean, gosh, in 14 months, you went from no physical activity, no physical exercise. Really, you couldn't do it. It hurt. And now 14 months later, I just want to caveat this with a lot of work. I mean, Kathy was willing to show up, and she trudged through the shit to get to this place where she's at now. And that's super commendable. And it's really important for people to understand, because you can't have it all overnight, can you, Kathy? Like, you got to be
Yep.
willing to show up, and you got to be willing to do the work.
Oh yeah.
And if you're willing to do that, the tips, the tricks, the tools, the tracks to run on, if you will, are all right here for you, right?
Yep.
With the support, the group, the coaching, the protocol itself. But I love that you've done that, with it. And now with strength training and running, I mean, you went no exercise to running, a 5K, a 10K. I remember the post where you're like, oh my God, I don't even know if I can do this. Oh my gosh, I'm like terrified, to where like, you're like, oh my God, I just crushed my 5K. And then it was, oh my God, I just crushed my 10K. And then it was like, we've constantly just seen you rise and rise and rise and rise. Like, you keep setting those bars of all these things you thought were impossible at first. Now all of a sudden don't seem impossible.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Now, do you know stats wise? I know weight wasn't your big focus, but do you have an idea of like in that 14 months, like where you were able to go at all?
Oh yes. I am now at over 70 pounds released.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
then when I started, I was wearing a size 20 in jeans, and now I have to wear a belt with my size 12 jeans. So I'm about ready to go down to a size 10.
Okay.
And then when I started, I was wearing 2XL shirts, and I'm going to climb the Manitou Incline on Saturday in my size medium ERshred shirt. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Uh, good stuff. For somebody who had no concern about like actually getting smaller, it actually just happened as a result of getting healthy and being able to do the things that I wanted to. Yes, I
Mm,
worked really hard at
mm.
it, but the ability, being able to work really hard at it was the best gift. I think that's where the Sunshine of ERShred came in. I actually watched your example of the 4 a.m. club, and I know me. At the end of the day, I don't really have the gumption to get my
Yep.
stuff done, and
Yep.
I feel like when I get it done first thing in the morning, it sets me up on a good vibe all day because I'm
For
like,
sure.
yes, I could do this.
For sure.
And I became a member of the 4 a.m. club, so I'd
Yes,
go
you
out and
have.
take my little sunshine selfies and post them in the group or on my own page. And it
Yep.
just became something that I did to sort of cheer myself on. And
Yeah.
I had a lot of, I have a lot of friends and family who really cheer me on as well. So I'm
Yeah.
really lucky for that.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Man, oh
Yeah.
man, what a journey. I mean, nuts. What I
Yeah.
love, what really resonates with me so much is um I mean, you and I have done coaching together. We don't need to keep that a secret. Like you and I have done a lot of work together. I've gotten to really, really see the amount of work that you've been able to do and what you were willing to do and the challenges that we put up for you and you got to show up. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope people understand that and what you've shared, everybody's like, wow, look at now, but they don't realize that it wasn't always like this for the
No.
14 months. And even today, I know that there's challenges for you.
Mhm.
And there's, every day, like, you're posting your 4 a.m. picture, but you're pretty vulnerable with your post. You're like, look, like, I don't feel like freaking doing this right now.
Yeah.
But I know that if I just get my ass out there, that's going to change. And you've learned to kind of these mental tricks over the way. So
Yeah.
why don't we see if we can help somebody, with a couple things. I mean, you share this amazing story, right? Take me back to like, what's the catalyst that initiated this? Like, how did you go from like feeling sorry for yourself and like being 70 pounds heavier? And I don't even know how many inches that is, but it's a lot to go from the sizes you went where you were at to where you're at now. It's a lot of inches. And that's now the byproduct. So that to me is like one of the most beautiful things. And gosh, do I hear that in so many testimonials? They're like, oh my God, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And oh, hey, by the way, I also lost this much weight and this much inches. Like it seems to be like a motto around the
Yeah.
ERShred community where weight is no longer the focus. So you
Yeah.
want to talk about what separates us, and you say like, I promise you've never done anything like this, because what separates us is not focusing on stupid weight loss or diet. Do we think it's important? Yes, it's part of health, but it's got to be the byproduct of that. So where does somebody start, Kathy? Like you went through so much. How did you even get started in the beginning? Because you and I both know that so many people are stuck where you were, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So how can you help those people? Like what can you share with them if they're in that position where you were in the beginning? What maybe can you share with them that can help free them a little bit? Do you know what question I'm trying to ask?
I think I do.
Okay.
I think for me, I had a lot of reservations at first.
Okay.
My biggest reservations were that I had tried a lot of different things to lose weight because I thought losing weight would make me healthy. So
Mm,
in my mind, because of where I came from and all the years of hearing from my doctor, the reason why you're sick is because you're overweight. In
mm,
my mind, all the things I had tried before was if I lose weight, then I'll be healthy. But
okay.
this time when I went into it, I changed it. And the reason why I changed it is because I listened to a video you did. And
Aha.
you said in that video, no matter how hard it might be for you, like when you have to trudge through the shit, everybody deserves to
Mm,
feel good every
mm,
day. And I heard that and I thought to myself, how long has it been since you felt good?
mm,
You deserve to feel good. And if you just try this for 11 days,
mm-hmm.
what do you have to lose? You can get your money back if it doesn't work.
Right.
But if you don't do it, at least give yourself a shot to change what's going on in your world. This is going to be your reality and it's only going to get worse because it
Mm,
had. And
mm,
I just drew a line in the sand and said, I'm just going to go all in and get this done. And
Yeah.
when I couldn't do the cleanse day thing, at first it bothered me because I'm one who printed out the protocol, and I started to get in my head that whole, imposter syndrome. Maybe I'm not shredding. And then I thought to myself, no, this isn't right at all, because I can already tell that I feel better. I mean, like within the first 7 days, I had this persistent pain in my neck that I literally took Advil for like, I don't know, probably 3 months.
Yeah.
And within that first 11 days, one day I woke up and it just wasn't there. And I got through part of the day and I thought, wow, that's weird. It doesn't hurt. And once that happened, I became so much more aware of how the choices that I was making without knowing it, and how I was educating myself as I went, taught me to look at it in a different way. Like, I never looked at the ERShred as, oh, I'm going to go do a diet for 11 days. I looked at it as, I deserve to feel good every day. Yes, he said so, and I deserve it. And I'm going to make that happen for me. I mean, I listened to my first Come Alive call that I did with Sean.
Yeah.
And I wasn't feeling, all the things on the protocol. And I remember saying to him, I don't feel this, but I will.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue. And that's really what it was. It's like I got a taste of what it felt like to feel better. And I just wanted to continue.
I love that so much. So I'm going to put a little caveat in here. I need to make sure that people understand this is Kathy's story. This is Kathy's personal transformation. We do not claim to treat, cure, prevent any disease. We cannot make your pain go away. This is, again, Kathy's personal experience of what happened when she decided to stop punishing herself and only reward herself with food that was going to serve her. So I need to make that very clear, and we will post in the comments below the disclaimer that anybody can go and look at. So I just wanted to caveat that. I didn't mean to, steal your thunder there.
Oh, no, that's okay.
So what I heard from you was it's almost like you changed your internal thermostat, which is what I just kind of talked about in a recent call. Like, you were going into previous diets and previous health things, whatever you want to call them, being like, okay, I'm the overweight person because everybody's told me that I'm the fat person and I'm looking to lose weight. Instead of like, no, I'm a person who deserves to be healthy and I just happen to gain weight over the years. So now when you lose the weight, you're not just the fat person that lost weight. You're the person who deserves to feel amazing, and you're feeling amazing. And because you're feeling amazing, you're now losing weight as the byproduct. Yeah. So in the brain, it creates that shift. And you brought that up a couple of times where you said, I went back to getting that taste. And because that focus of yours was, I'm determined to be healthy. And if something else happens, great, but I deserve to be healthy and feel good. And then, it goes through. Did I sum that up pretty correctly?
Yeah.
That's okay. So if anybody's listening, like, change your thermostat. So if you're a person that's done many diets, which I know that millions of people around the world have, and you've had success, but you failed, and then you went back and you gained it, and you gained more, and you kept going around and around and around and around, maybe it's time to shift your internal thermostat and view things a little bit differently.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So we have that initial shift. So we get that shift. You come in, you start to, you're a person, did you follow everything besides the cleansing? Like, you just followed everything to a T.
Oh, yes.
Like, no questions asked.
Oh, no. I mean, at first, before I started, I tried to go to Gina, my friend Gina, who introduced me. And I was like, I know this coffee thing says you should have it with butter, but that sounds weird. So could I just have my coffee creamer and my stevia? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, no. Like, I didn't try to battle. I was like, okay, no. Because I wanted to see what would happen if I gave myself a chance for 11 days. And I knew that if I tried to tweak it or modify it, it wasn't going to have the same effect. Sorry?
No, I'm sorry. You paused, and I thought you had stopped talking for a second.
No.
So this is a good point you brought up. So there's a lot of people that come in and they kind of tiptoe, right? They kind of like, oh, I'll give it a try. I failed on everything else. Like, I'll give it a try. They come in like that, right? So we already learned the thermostat. On the, how many people do we see? Well, can I just add this? Can I have spices? Can I do it this way? Like, you did that. You just admitted you did that. That's a natural thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned, Kathy? What can we share with people on a high level thing? Like, what have you learned to be the power of, yes, in the beginning, we have to be a little more rigid, right? And then obviously, as you continue on and we teach you how, and you learn to figure out your own individual food blueprint, because that's the ultimate goal, is that everybody can have that, right? Because there's no magic one answer. What kept you in line besides Gina kicking you in the ass? What kept you in line? Like, what was able to keep you from self-sabotaging yourself? Is there any tricks that you can share with people? Because you were the, can I share this?
Sure.
Okay, you were the self-sabotage queen. You would have a reason why you were going to self-sabotage yourself. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's so many, I mean, I'm talking like there's millions of people that play this, right? And again, you're not perfect now, and I'm not perfect. But what are some things that you did to help you overcome that self-sabotage that we can share with people that might be struggling with some of that now?
Well, as far as my fitness goals, it might sound odd, but I made them a promise to myself before I
Okay,
embarked upon them.
I love that.
I did the same thing with the ERShred, but I didn't actually write it down because
Okay.
I wanted to feel better, and I knew that if I at least gave it the 11 days according to the protocol, minus the cleanse days, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do those with as much,
Mhm.
you know, toxicity that I had and as
Yep.
the place I came from. So I think that for me, when I decided I was going to get into my fitness goals, even when I wrote down that I was going to walk for 15 minutes a day for 5 days a week, and that was my goal, part of my mind said, "You're not going to do this," because I hadn't been active in so long.
Mhm.
But when the voice came that said, you haven't been active, you're not going to do this, I told myself that I had done it before in other times in my life and I could do it now because now I was emotionally connected with the outcome more
Mhm.
than ever so before.
Mhm.
It was important to me. I have grandchildren. I want to be active. I want to be able to play with them. I want
Mm.
to be able to go, do an inflatable 5K with my 7-year-old granddaughter and be able to participate in it.
Yep.
And so it became something that I could visualize myself doing before I ever did it, but I was emotionally connected to the outcome of it.
Mm.
And so when it got hard, and it did, I mean, I that first week that I did my first 15 minutes of walking for 5 days, there were days that I went out and like I cried when I was doing it because I
Mhm.
thought, how sad that you have to make a promise to yourself that you're going to walk for 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Anybody can walk for 15 minutes. Like I told myself those things, but when they came on, I got rid of them. I
Mhm.
said, you know what? That is the voice of someone who is a victim. That is the voice of someone who considers themselves not able to do
Mm.
what they said they're going to do. And I wrote down on a card a promise to myself that I was going to do it. And when it got hard, I remembered my promise because I had it written on the card. And I also went to the community. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the posts that I posted in the community when I first joined, I mean, some of them were very raw and vulnerable. Like I
Mhm.
went there and said, the things that were going on in my mind. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember when I did my first live, I was talking about how I struggled with anxiety and depression. And I told myself that for so many years that it became almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that I was going to continue to try and do all the things I wanted to do, but feel like I was stuck in this anxiety and depression. And I mean, you can see the tone. I can see the tone when I go back and look at my own posts of the desperation that I felt to
Mm.
change that feeling about myself, that I was
Yeah.
those feelings that I was having. And
Yeah.
I feel like I had a lot of cheerleaders. I mean, I had a lot of cheerleaders in
Yeah.
the community. And I think that once I became more open about things in the community and I realized that maybe I wasn't the only one who struggled with those things,
Mm-hmm.
it gave me a place of empowerment from which to work from, which helped me every time those replay of things came. I remember you were talking about that 5K goal, and I remember I was walking the 5K, and
Mm-hmm.
I was zero point 0.1 miles short of that 5K distance because I don't check when I'm out walking or
Mm-hmm.
running or doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I came home and I went to the community and I was all mad. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe I missed this by 0.1 mile. I was so sure I hit it. Now
Yeah.
I feel terrible. And you came in there and you posted, you're like, wait a minute, hold the phone here. zero point 0.1 miles is nothing. You've already done it.
Right.
Stop telling yourself that story. And
Yeah.
it was that perspective from someone else who sees it differently that helped me shift my thinking.
Mm.
So the
Mm.
community is a really big, the support of the community is a really
Yeah.
big thing that changes everything
Mm.
for me
Beautiful.
personally.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Listen, guys, if you haven't figured it out, like you're gonna get raw and real and vulnerable from Kathy. She is so, I mean, gosh, like I admire the hell out of you, how vulnerable you can get, because it is hard to do. I mean, it is hard to put yourself out there. But again, like I told you, Kathy's willing to do the work. Like I got chills. Like I remember these days and these posts. And listen, oh God, I remember, I mean, just we're gonna keep our personal stuff personal because that's between you and me, and that's
Yeah.
special. But like, I remember all of that, right?
Yeah.
But two things that I pulled out that I don't want people to lose. One of them is you talked about visualization. I know it sounds foo-foo. I know it sounds woohoo to some people. I used to think it was woohoo. Every Olympian, every professional athlete, every extreme athlete visualizes their course, visualizes themselves on the podium, visualizes themselves making plays over and over and over and over again until they believe it in their mind that they're going to do it. And then when it's executed, it's like you've already done it. And again, this is not a psychology, thing. I am not a psychiatrist. I'm not that person, but I can share with you through personal experience, and Kathy can too, and through things that I've learned and what we've done for ourselves and what I've been able to witness other people doing is the power that you can, the belief that you can. And you don't have to have that all for yourself right away, right, Kathy?
Yeah.
But like she talked about writing a card. And I can see, if you look over Kathy's shoulder, you can see a little board with a handprint on it. That's her vision board, and
Yeah.
that's her goal board, and that's always updated, and that's always changed. And when she hits goals, she rewrites another one. And how many times have we heard, like, do a vision board, get these things out, carry a card with you? And how many times in the past did you blow that off, Kathy?
Yeah. I mean, I can say that I have missed a lot of opportunities in my life because I did not step forward. I
Okay,
mean,
so but you've heard that before, right?
oh yeah, oh
But
yeah, I
then you
have heard that.
finally did it. You
Oh yeah,
finally
oh
did
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah,
right? And
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what she's talking about, guys. So what I want you to get out of this, and you go, oh, well, the easy thing to do is like, oh, well, my story is a little different than Kathy's, and it's not the same, and I don't relate. That's not the goal here. The goal is for you to take the tips and tricks and figure out how they can relate to your life. Like when you read a book, it's not going to resonate from the author exactly like your life, but the messages and the learning part, you can take that and go, okay, how can this be in my life? What can I do? Can I write a post-it note? Can I put it on my desk at work? Can I put it in my bathroom? Do I need to set an alarm on my phone? If you're not a person that likes to write things out like Kathy does, like, do you want to use your phone? Do you want to use a Google Calendar? Like, there's so many different
Yeah.
ways. So you don't have to be like, I need to write a card, but that visualization of when you know that you're going to go through bad times, because they are inevitable. We already know that. There's no way to make them not happen. You're going to have that visualization. And then the second big thing that I heard is you don't have to do it on your own, especially when you're a part of the ERShred community. You got 26,000 other people. Like, you are not by yourself. You're going on a journey of your own journey, but you are never by yourself. And so getting a support system, whether it's family, friends, people doing it with you, if you don't have that, you come into our group. We welcome all people with open arms. You will find people that you relate to. We will get you in connection with somebody. It's going to naturally happen. And like what Kathy shared with you, when you start to have the realization that, because how many times do we play the story with ourselves? Like, oh, I'm the only one. Nobody else is going through this. They don't know what I'm going through. They don't know how to relate. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, like, I'm not the only one. In fact, there's thousands to millions of people that are going through the same thing as me. And we just can do it together. We can work on this. And when you start to have these little things, so just commit to start, right? Believe that you can. Make sure that we turn the thermostat in the right direction for the mental side of things, having visualization, tapping into community support. These are massive, massive value tips that I really keep highlighting because I hope people are picking these up. You're somebody who's done the work. Like, the fastest way to go from point A to point B is not to figure it out on your own. You got to do the work, but the fastest way to go from point A to point B is to steal the information from somebody else who's already done it and apply that to your life so you don't have to take as long. So if Kathy took 14 months to get here, can you do it in 6? Right? Wouldn't that be so cool if you knew, Kathy, that what took you 14 months to do, you could share tips and tricks and value that could then help somebody get to where you're at in only 6 months' time versus 14.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but that's a pretty valuable add to somebody's life to the tune of 8 months worth of time. And if time is valuable to you, well, you would step up and take advantage of that, right? So that's amazing. When did you start to? What point did you get to? And I know we never get to like this, but what point was it where you got to the fact where you started feeling comfortable with different foods and you were playing around with different things? Because what I don't want people to think of as when we say that the ERShred protocol, yes, it's an 11-day protocol. Yes, it has its place, but living the shredder life, we have this different definition for, right? It's not just about the 11-day protocol. So when did you get to a point where like you started to really be like, holy crap, like, you learn these things about food, these different understandings that like food really is the most powerful drug. Like, oh my God, like the only thing that I've changed is like this. So it's gotta be that's making all these things happen to me, right? Like, it can't be anything else because nothing changed. You didn't take more medicine. You didn't do anything. Like, you just started to understand, like, when I don't poison myself and I actually give myself quality nutrition, quality food, my body starts to respond and feel better. Like, holy magic, right? I can't believe it. But what point did it take you? Like, how long into the journey before you started getting like a little more comfortable with like foods and stuff?
I want to say it was probably about, in all honesty, it was probably about 6 months in for
6
me.
months. Okay.
Because when I first started, I like did everything. So the very like in between my first and second shred, I went to the movies with my husband.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm gonna have some popcorn
Yeah.
at the movies. And
Yeah.
I ate the popcorn at the movies. And before we left the movies, there was not a good thing about that popcorn.
Okay.
And that was the first time that I really got tuned into the fact that there can be an instant effect when you eat something that does not serve you.
Wow. That's powerful.
And it was after my
Yeah.
first. And so then
Yeah.
after that happened, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to stick with, the protocol because I still wanted to feel optimal and I was still working through, my health crisis. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I'm not going to add any more food back in right now. So then after my third shred, I decided that I was going to add some things. And
Okay.
I like avocado and I like bell pepper. So I first added avocado, and that was good. And I was like, okay, I got this. I like that. It serves me. It makes me feel good. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried the bell pepper, and
Mm-hmm.
as much as I didn't want to accept it, the bell pepper did not do good things for me.
Okay.
I had like I was going out for a walk the next day, and I had this inflammation in my knees where it felt my knees hurt, and they had
Interesting.
not hurt at all of a sudden my knees started hurting, and I was like grumpy and crabby, and I was already starting to work through some of my mental stuff that I had going on, and was feeling better in that area. And then I noticed right away the crabby came back on, so I was like, huh, I wonder if it's this bell pepper. So then I gave it the next day, and I thought, I'm going to try it again, do it for a couple days and
Yep.
see.
Yep.
And that second day when I ate it, it continued. And I'm like, it's coming from this pepper. And
Interesting.
so I just quit eating the pepper because I
And
didn't
then
want
what
to feel
happened?
that way. Um, and then I just put it on my list of things that don't serve me. Like I used to eat them all the time, and I didn't connect that that's maybe why I wasn't feeling well. And I
Mm-hmm.
had all this, leg and back
Mm-hmm.
inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
I never connected it to food. And I also, in retrospect, it wasn't just a bell pepper before ERShred. I was a very highly processed food eater.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of things and shopping and cooking from the boxed and canned section.
Okay.
And I guess I never really realized that I should read the ingredients. And if there were things listed there that I didn't know what the hell they were, I probably shouldn't be eating it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just looked at the front of the box, like oatmeal, for
Yeah.
example, says heart healthy on the front. Well,
Right.
look at the back and see how much sugar is in it.
Right.
And then ask yourself if it's really that healthy. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. The knowledge that,
knowledge. Knowledge
I
is
think,
power.
yeah, I think the most important thing people should pull from this is that, you know, while you can have instant effects and while you can get instant results, there's no such thing as an instant result, right? Like
Yeah.
there's timing. I mean, you're going to have this, like when you shift from processed ultra highly palatable foods to you're stripping those away and you're only fueling with nutrient dense bioavailable foods, like you're gonna have effects in your body. I mean, come
Oh
on,
yeah.
like let's like
Oh
you're gonna
yeah.
you're gonna notice something really fast.
Yeah.
And then I love how you shared, like, at first it's almost like a lot of people, and I watch so many people do this, they finish an 11-day thing and they're like, oh my God, hallelujah, I made it. And I'm like, your thermostat's not in the right spot when you started. Because you think that, it's not like, when it comes to your health, it's not an 11-day thing,
No.
right?
No.
And it's not an all or nothing thing
No.
either. And I
Yeah.
and what you're sharing is, I can't even, guys, if anybody can relate to this, like seriously, drop into the comments. Like just be real and be like, there's so many people. I mean, I know when people come to me for nutrition, it's like, they think they're eating healthy. They
Yeah.
really truly think they're eating healthy, but yet they have no idea, like, all the food industry and the trickery and
Oh
all
yeah.
the healthy foods, like how much sugar is snuck in there and the fake
Oh.
ingredients, and
Oh.
it's just really crazy. But when you have the realization, this is what I love about ERShred so much, is that we're not gonna, my old way of nutritional coaching was like, you come to me and I studied and I learned this, and you should have, this amount of protein. You should have this protein in this course of the day, and you should have this many carbs, and you should eat 6 times a day. And I was like giving these like a script,
Yeah.
where now it's like when you have your own realizations, which is what I love about this. Like we give you enough room to have those oopsies on purpose,
Oh yeah.
because that realization for you of eating that popcorn and feeling like that, you had now that shift where you're like, holy crap, like food is that powerful.
Oh
Where
yeah.
before, when you were just shoveling it in and you had situation after situation after situation, you couldn't even figure out, like you had no correlation that that was
Yeah.
actually coming from food,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we're told that it must be outside influences. It must be this. And then what do you do when you see a doctor? They give you a pill, and they give you a pill,
Oh yeah.
and they give you a
Oh
pill.
yeah.
So I love that. And then I love the fact that you said 6 months was your ultimate thing where you were like, okay, I'm really more comfortable with this now. So I love that because again, guys, this isn't an overnight thing. So I'm keep highlighting all the value points that you're sharing, Kathy,
Yeah.
because that's my goal. Like you have so much value in you. I don't even think you realize the value that you can have for other people. And I know there's so many people in our group struggling with these issues, which is why I was so excited that you said yes to me, because I knew you would be willing to talk about it. I knew you would share your things. Because we've done that work through there where you're comfortable with it now. But I just want to highlight those for people so they can get the highlight points, right? The cliff notes,
Yeah.
if you will, out of this
Yeah.
whole conversation, that they can implement into their life. So, we have the thermostat, the visualization, the community, the support, having the realization. And then she also talked about another big question was, how do you reintroduce foods? Like, when do you know? Like, how did you know that it was time to reintroduce a food? Like, what was your clue?
For me, like I said, I tried a few things early on and I didn't get the result I was looking for after consuming them. And because I had a lot of healing to do and I wanted to feel better, I stuck pretty close to the protocol for about that
Okay.
first 6 months. But when I felt better and I wanted to be more active, I started to think, well, maybe there's some more things that I could add that would be helpful to me.
Okay.
So I began to add things in, and when things were good, I kept them, and when things were not good, I got rid of them.
Yeah.
The bell pepper was hard for me because I ate those all the time, and I love them.
Yeah.
So like down the road a ways, like 8 or 9 months into my journey, I decided I'm going to give this bell pepper another go
Try
and
it again.
see
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
And it went exactly the same as it went 6 months prior. So, or
Interesting.
whatever many months prior. So I have decided that although the bell pepper is a staple for others on maintenance in the ERShred community, because you see lots of tasty recipes cooked up
Yep.
with
Yep.
those do not serve Kathy Martinez. So
Yeah.
I am not going to be consuming those because they're not for me.
That's
Although
such a,
I do love zucchini, which I
yeah.
never loved that much before, and that is actually really good for me. It does good things for me. I enjoy the way it tastes, so that is
Very cool.
a good vegetable that I can use for my benefit
Yeah.
instead of a good vegetable that I can use that is not going to be for my benefit.
Oh man. So a couple things in this part. So the fact of you explaining your individual blueprint, I am a person, like, I probably take down about 6 or 7 peppers every week. It's like it's my veggie, it's in my sautés, it's in, they're not, they don't affect me like you. And that's one of the most beautiful things. So when people are saying, well, how come we can't do vegetables and how come we can't, it's not that you can't do them.
Yeah.
What we're trying to get you to understand is just because something is deemed healthy doesn't mean that it's serving your body. And you just painted a beautiful example of exactly that, right? Like, you're like, look,
Mhm.
like, I know this works for people, but I've given it 2 separate goes. And who knows, maybe in another 7 months from now, Kathy, you might repopulate even more gut bacteria. And maybe there's going to be a day that you can. But
Yeah.
if people can take how you're doing this, which is the most important thing I want to highlight, is like, you gave yourself 6 months, you gave yourself time. This is what I mean by phases. If people are confused about the phases now, Kathy's literally saying, okay, here was my phase 1, here was my phase 2, here's my phase 3, and then now phase 4 is where I'm just kind of living life and I'm playing. I know you still have goals, that's why I didn't put you there. You still have things you're trying, you're still doing things. So we gotta just give ourselves permission to take the time. I had somebody say to me, like, yesterday, yeah, I think it was a couple of days ago, I was doing an introduction health coaching thing, and they're like, well, I know it's going to take me a year. And I go, okay. I go, so in a year from now, I go, that year is still going to go by. And if you choose to just not do anything, how are you going to feel at the end of that year? And if you choose to do something, and what if at the end of that year, you've dropped 70 pounds and you're no longer in pain and I go, is that year then worth it? So that's a little flip of the script, right? It's like, okay, it's going to take me a year, and we're like punishing him. And I'm like, a year? You just spent 15 years like destroying your body.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
worried about a year's worth of time. I'm like, the year's going to go by anyways, but take it slow is what you're saying. Don't be in such a rush. Intrinsically feel what you're feeling, right? And then slowly add things back in. And whenever if you feel like there's something off track or you're getting bumps in the road, do you ever go back to the protocol again? Do you ever go back to just like bringing it back to baseline and knowing that you have those foods, not starting from like total scratch, but do you ever pull back a little?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I do.
How do you know when to do that?
Well, I can tell you that I know when to do that when I start to feel like I'm not where I was.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Like I had a month, May and June, where I had my son's birthday, my granddaughter's birthday, and my other granddaughter's birthday, 3 in a row. Well, birthdays, you eat cake.
Okay.
And so for my son's birthday, I went out and got a cake that he loves from a local bakery. I had a slice of cake, not a hunk of cake, a slice of cake.
Okay.
Which was a big thing for me because I used to consider myself someone who had a sweet tooth. But what I really had was an unknown addiction to sugar caused by diet and artificial sweeteners that I was consuming.
Okay.
Because I ate tons of that stuff. And then as soon as I was done eating, I craved sweets and I was like, I have a sweet tooth. But when it was birthday time, I wanted to have cake with my people for their birthday.
Absolutely.
So when I ate the cake with my son from the bakery local, it had no ill effects on me, Jesse. I ate the cake. The cake was delicious. I didn't feel like I needed more cake because the cake tasted sweet, but not overly sweet. And I didn't feel any kind of weird, gut disturbances or mood disturbances. So then a couple weeks later, I had cake again for my granddaughter's birthday, and that cake was not from a local; it was from a chain store.
Okay.
And when I ate that cake, I did experience some disturbance, gut disturbance, and not only was it sweet, it was almost cloyingly sweet. Like you could taste the grains of sugar in it. But I still ate it because it was, cake time. So when it was time for the next group shred, I said to myself, you know what? I got to get this stuff out. So I'm going to go ahead and do the full protocol and the cleanse days because I want to cleanse this stuff out. But I'm not going to go all the way back to the original baseline that I was. I'm going to stick to steak and shake, but also if I want to, maybe throw in my avocado with my steak because I know my avocado serves me. So I don't think that I ever went back to my true first 11-day baseline where I got rid of everything.
Okay.
But I did stay very close to it for that first 6 months. Like I did not stray far. But once I began to discover, I didn't feel like I had to restrict myself in discovery because if I discovered it didn't serve me, I could stop eating it, number one. And number two, I could employ my cleanse days if I felt like the effects of it were lingering in my body and it would be gone.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
So perfect example of how to utilize an intermittent cellular fast as a tool in the toolbox versus being dependent on it, thinking that you need it to propel yourself forward or you need it to lose weight or you need it to, we have these things that we think we need, right? And you're explaining a beautiful scenario for somebody who wants to continue on. Like, look, like you can have life. You can still have your treats or your indulgences or whatever the hell you want to call them. I don't care. Call them whatever you want to call them. Okay. Just don't call them a cheat because I hate that word. You're not cheating yourself. You're not cheating anybody. Like you're treating, you're indulging, you're living life, you're having some YOLO foods, like whatever. Right. And I do the same thing, Kathy. My birthday was yesterday, right? Or 2 days, and I I had a good clean day. I had my shakes, I had my protein, I had my aminos, I had my electrolytes. But you know, for dinner, like we wanted to have pizza, right? And you know, for me, at the point that I'm at 20 years into this and where I know my body, I know what I can handle. But
Yeah.
for me, I don't just go out and buy the shop pizza.
Yeah.
I enjoy making my own. So while the crust wasn't necessarily the ideal thing, my organic vine ripened tomato sauce was, and my organic vegetables, and my clean sausage, and my goat cheese. Those were things that I know serve me, so I can mitigate that.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is, now for me, Kathy, I'm just going to be very transparent. My body can wash that out at this point in the game. Like, whoop, there it goes. Like, I can get away with those things. So for me, like, I go on seasonal cleanses just for the fact of knowing that I'm an athlete, I'm breathing more, my water sucks. Like, unfortunately, we live in a very toxic world today. And if you're just turning your eye to that, like, I can't help you because it's just the reality. And I know that gets stuck inside my fat cells. So I give my body an ancestral break, and I allow myself that break, because never before in history like today have we just ate and 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 ate for 16 hours, right? It's just all the time. But that's how I do it. So I wanted to highlight that because you're showing your way, I'm showing my way. You don't like peppers, I like peppers. You know, you enjoy cake. For me, it's ice cream. But we're doing it very strategically. So even though they're indulgences, they're strategic, right? It's not like
Yeah.
you're having cake every
Oh
day.
no. Oh
You're
no.
actually utilizing it for a celebration. And then at that point, you're still even, I don't want to use limiting. That's not the right word. You're doing it responsibly.
Oh yeah.
You're
Yeah.
enjoying it, but you're doing it
Yeah.
responsibly. And then you also highlighted a difference where, you know, I shared my pizza story because of your cake story.
Yeah.
And the difference between a local place that uses sweet cream as the frosting and uses, you know, not artificial everything, and it's homemade, you know, is it healthy? Is
Eh,
it healthier?
yeah.
Yes, right? And
Yeah.
I think if we start to just, you know, people think they have to nail everything and they got to be so
Yeah.
on point. And I'm hoping that people are understanding that it's good to have the knowledge of everything, but then you have to take it and say, okay, what's practical?
Yeah.
What's going to make me happy? Right. And how
Yeah.
can I balance that out? And man, have you done such a beautiful job at painting that picture, to show people that you can still live life. You can still smash your goals. Like, you don't have to be restricted. You don't have to be restrained. Like, it's not that you can't do something, but it's like, why do I want to punish myself? Right. Like, why would I want to
Exactly.
punish myself if I don't have to? So
Exactly.
that's awesome. Go ahead. Well, you got something to say?
No, no, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
I just want to make sure I sum it all up right.
Oh no, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay. So it's you know, a lot of people in our group, they have questions all the time about this, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
again, one of the reasons I wanted you being 14 months in is like, okay, Jesse, what's the bigger picture? Like, if I do the 11-day protocol and this is my first time, like, what the hell do I do? Do I keep going? Can I bring stuff back in? Can I eat vegetables? Yes is the answer. Like, you
Yeah.
can do it all, but be smart about it.
Oh
Be
yeah.
wary. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
utilize the tools. Like, take the advice from other people. Bring the stuff back in slow. You know, I don't know if Kathy didn't choose cake on in the first section, right? It was more afterwards when you
Yeah.
had control, and so you had to make a little sacrifice previously, but then later on, once you did the work, once you got your body balanced, once you got it back into functioning properly,
Yeah.
then you created the safe space to explore a little bit.
Yeah.
And in your exploration, right, you were able to pinpoint things. And then when you do have that cake, like you said, like, look, like, I know it's not the greatest, but like, I'm not going to not have cake with my granddaughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm not going to go to somebody's house. And if they cooked me this like amazing lasagna, I'm not going to be like, no,
Yeah.
like I'm just not going to eat half the pan like I used to.
Exactly.
I'm going to have a small piece. I'm going to be okay with it, you know? And if something blurps, well, I know why, and it's going to go back, right? Cuz I'm
Yeah.
going to just I'm not going to be like, "Oh my god, I ruined it all."
Oh no. Oh no.
We call those speed bumps now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I want everybody speed bump. I hit a speed bump.
Yeah.
Okay. You hit a
I've
speed
had a
bump.
lot of speed bumps on my journey.
Yeah.
Like, hit it and you just keep going.
You just keep going, right?
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
it's easy to say, but, Kathy's also shared with you guys a lot of, thoughts that she had, conversations she would have with herself. Let me steal some more tips with you before we're done.
Okay.
When people start to talk bad to themselves and they start to, uh, you know, tell themselves a story. Can you share with them the before we actually clicked go live? You were sharing some things with me. Can you share with them some more recent tricks that you've learned now? Like, how do you erase those thoughts in your head? What's the visualization that you do? Share that what you shared with me on how you make
So
things go away.
I have this situation coming up soon where I'm not going to be able to do my regular exercise routine because I'm going to be healing from a procedure that I need to have.
Yep.
And so when I learned in my consultation where I learned it was necessary that I wasn't going to be able to run or climb any stairs or do any strength training, my immediate thought went to somewhere that was not good for me. I started to think, oh my gosh, this is, you're going to be back where you were and you're going to be sitting on the couch and you're not going to be able to do anything. And in that moment, like, I recognized that I was having that thought. I didn't get rid of it. I absorbed it, but then I told myself that that is not the real story. I was
Mm,
able to recognize that, that is a story from the past that's coming back to me, that's telling me something that isn't true. My
mm,
health is 100% better than it ever was, in that past situation. And I'm not at the same place mentally that I was in
mm-hmm,
that past situation. So
mm-hmm,
now, um, one of the things that I did when I was out running, when I was like, I was out running and I thought, oh my gosh, this is my last run, one of my
mm-hmm,
last runs. And
mm-hmm,
it was crazy. And I did this trick where I, started thinking the tune of Sanford and Son over that thought in my head to tell my
mm-hmm,
brain, I don't want
mm-hmm,
this, get rid of
mm-hmm.
it. And that was one thing. And then the other thing that I learned recently was this trick where you actually do the paper shredder. And I actually did this with actual paper when I was struggling with the thought of I was struggling. My constant story was I'm struggling with anxiety and depression. So I did
Okay.
this exercise where I actually had a piece of paper, and on one side it said I struggle with anxiety and depression, and on the other side it said I am happy now that I am free of anxiety and depression. And even though I still felt the feelings of anxiety and depression, because I held on to the part that told me I was happy to be free of it, and I literally put the other part through the paper shredder and watched it go in, I felt like it helped me move the needle. And so this new trick that I learned was that you can employ that same thing when a thought pops into your head that isn't something you want to think. Like,
Interesting.
recognize it's there and then visualize that thought going through the paper shredder and actually make the sound of a paper shredder, and it'll be amazing how fast you can get rid of it. And it really does work. I mean, it really
Wow.
is. It's
That's
quite
great.
powerful.
Yeah. So, again, this isn't a psychiatry lesson, but you
No,
just you
no.
just shared the power of the subconscious brain,
Yeah.
and that's where our stories lie, right?
Oh yeah.
So, our daily life is here, and then we have this subconscious brain that it doesn't know what's right and wrong. It doesn't know if you've even accomplished something or not. It only knows what it's told. And you're talking about being able to control those stories, because even though you were so, I mean, you've crushed so many things right
Mhm.
now. Like,
Yeah.
damn well that a few weeks off of exercise, as long as your nutrition's on point, like, you're not going to go backwards, right?
No, no.
But that story still popped up.
Mm-hmm.
14 months into her journey, guys,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
story still popped up. So
Yeah.
why am I highlighting that? Because it never necessarily goes away.
Yeah.
You just learn how to turn the volume down. You learn how to shred it in the shredder. I love that it's a shredder.
Yeah.
You shred it in the shredder. And I learned that was an Ed Milet trick, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It
So
was.
I
Yeah.
learned that trick too. And I was like, this is genius. Like,
It is.
you can literally visualize the thoughts and envision them going through a shredder. And if you have to shred that thought 50 freaking times, you shred the shit out of that thought
Yeah.
50 times.
Exactly.
And eventually you're going to trick your brain. The other thing that Kathy shared with you is that when you have a thought that comes up, a thought that's not welcomed, although it's there, but you know it doesn't serve you, you then block that thought by singing a song or telling yourself the opposite of what it is that thought's trying to tell you, so you can replace it with what you want it to be. Now, is it going to magically just like, oh, I did it, Kathy, I shredded my thought and I'm still thinking it? Does it work like that?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No. You got to continuously do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's the repetition and the consistency. Surprise, the consistency, which is the same thing with nutrition, the same thing with our health, the same thing with our goals. The consistency of showing up every single day is ultimately what's going to create the habit, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love this 2 to 3 weeks that we're starting people off with, because it's arguable 21 days, but realistically it's around the 21-day mark of doing something repetitiously that actually forms a cemented habit to where what once felt weird now is just like second nature.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going through all of that. So that's an amazing thing. What other high level tips? Can you do anything in a short time? Because I'm crunching here, but can you do what other things can you pull out that you know were like really beneficial to you along your journey that we can maybe share with people and give them a little bit more, like, let's call it cream cheese frosting on the top?
I feel like for me, my biggest thing is to even if you haven't done something and you and I guess really I don't know how to say this, but like for me, the Manitou incline is a great example.
Okay.
Like I had tried it before years ago and I got scared at the bailout and I took the bailout down. And I made a promise to my friend who I was doing it with that one day I was going to go back and get to the top if we took the bailout. And I spent years telling myself it wasn't possible. But when I decided it was possible in my mind, before I was even physically dreaming about the actual date of doing it, I never allowed myself to go back to say it's not going to be possible for me.
Okay.
And when I did it the first time and I got scared and and there were tears, I never told myself there's another option but standing on that top step.
Okay.
So, when it gets hard, remind yourself that you can do hard things. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me.
Love it.
I feel like I have areas where I haven't gotten the message with that yet, but I know that I can do hard things. And so whenever I'm faced with a new hard thing, I have to try and think back to the previous hard things that I proved to myself I could do so that I can push myself past my comfort zone to reach my next big thing.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautifully said. Listen, friend, I love you so much. I am so grateful for our friendship. You are one of the most thoughtful people that has ever come into my life. And I say that really genuinely. I mean, from the handwritten notes to the gifts that you send my son to me, I mean, you're just special, and it's my privilege to have been able to thank you for allowing me to be a piece of your journey. And I mean, I take, you did this work You put in the effort. You've done all the hard stuff. I was just a sounding board, and I'm just so proud of you for how far you've come. I know there's still struggles. I know
Yeah.
there's things you're working on. I don't think anybody doesn't have that in their life, but I have no doubt in my mind, literally, I'm telling you this genuinely, I have zero doubt that you will crush this new thing just like you did this other thing, and
Yeah.
all the tools, all the pieces of knowledge, like if you just take those and implement them into anything that comes in your way, like I have no doubt that where you're at, you're just going to excel. I mean,
Yeah.
you are the walking talking example of possible. I mean, for hopefully a lot of people, and I know for you got that next level now, but I mean the people that are 14 months behind you or wherever they're at, the possibility and that value that you can add to those people. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for just being you, and thank you for being our sunshine. And that doesn't come lightly to us. I mean, you show up every day for other people, even when you're going through your own shit. Even
Yeah.
when you have a lot of crazy things in life happening, you're still there supporting other people. And that's just the ideal of what we envision our community to be. Like-minded people supporting each other, making the world a better place, helping each other, making our lives better, and collectively that energy together is where we can kind of keep spreading it out there. So thank you so much for sharing more time with me, and for showing up and being so vulnerable. I so
You're
appreciate you.
welcome. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me. It's
Guys,
been
do me a
fun chatting.
favor. Drop into the comments. Let Kathy know what was the most valuable thing for you. How did she serve you? What did she add to your life? Did you take any tips and tricks from it? What is one or two things that you can take from her and implement into your life that you can hopefully move the needle and shift those thoughts for yourself? And I would love to hear what you guys got out of that. So if you can drop those into the comments, that would be amazing. If you know anybody that's struggling or they're in any of that position, please smash the share button. Let them listen to this. Invite them into our community, www.ershredders.com. Bring them in. They'll meet Kathy and 26,000 other people. Some are like her, some are different, some are crazy, some are this, some are athletes, some are not, some are old, some are young. Like we have everybody. Everybody is welcome. And I'm going to say the same thing that to these people, Kathy, that hit with you. Every single one of you deserves to feel amazing every single day of your life. That doesn't mean that there's not oopsies and there's not bloopsies that come along with that. But overall, I truly believe that health is our greatest wealth, and every single person deserves that. That's why you deserve to be a part of this community with us. So we all hope you have an amazing night. We'll catch you on the flip side. Don't forget to join the call tomorrow, our testimonial call, and join me back here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for another amazing shredder story that hopefully can help you move the needle in your life. Have an awesome night, Kathy. Thanks again.
Talk to you soon.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.